All right. March 2026, paper 6, radiant 2. We will start from question number 3. In this question, they are saying a student investigates circuit containing different combination of resistors. In A part 1, figure 3.1 shows circuit 1. So you can see, student, this is circuit 1. This is a battery switch. An ammeter is connected in series. A voltmeter is connected in combination with this resistor. All right. Now they are saying circuit 1 contains one resistor of resistance X ohm. So resistance is not given. In this question, they are saying resistance is unknown, which is X ohms. Now the student closes the switch and measure the potential difference and current. Record in table 3.1 the voltmeter and ammeter reading shown in figure 3.2 for circuit 1. So you can see we have attempted the part A in yesterday class. Voltmeter reading is shown on your screen. You can see between 2 and 3, this line is representing 2.5. So it means each line is representing 0.1 volt. Each small division is representing 0.1 volt. So now students, circuit 1 voltmeter reading is 2.4 volt. And now look at the ammeter. In ammeter, you can see the center mid, 0. This one is 0.2 and this one is 0.4. So it means in between this line is representing 0.3. So it means there are 5 lines, all right, which is equals to 0.1 ampere. So it means each line is representing 0.02. All right. So it means, students, this reading is showing 0.32 ampere. So yesterday we have recorded these values in class. Now, students, in next part, they are saying figure 3.3 shows circuit 2. So you can see this is circuit 2. Acha, in circuit 1, there was only one resistor and its resistance is X ohm. An ammeter and voltmeter is connected in this circuit. Now this is another circuit. Figure 3.3 shows circuit 2, and this circuit 2 contains 4 resistors. You can see these 2 resistors are connected in series, and these 2 resistors are also connected in series, but together they are making parallel combination. A voltmeter is connected here, which will measure the potential difference across these two terminals, and ammeter is connected in series. Now they are saying circuit 2 contains 4 identical resistors, each of resistance X ohm. Now you can see, student, each resistor resistance is X ohm. So this resistor, this resistor, this resistor, and this one. All resistors have same resistance because they are identical as it is mentioned in the question, and all have the same resistance that is equals to X ohm. Now, if I will try to find the combined resistance of all these 3 resistors, see, we know that, students, when resistors are connected in series, so together their resistance will be added. So total resistance will become 2x here. X plus X will become 2x. Similarly, these 2 resistors are added and their resistance will become 2x ohm. So now, students, they are making together parallel combination. So if I redraw this circuit, this resistor, the combined resistance of these 2 resistors is 2x ohm. Combined resistor of these 2 resistors is 2x ohm. All right. So if I want to find the combined resistance of these 2 resistors, so I told you the shortcut technique, beta, when 2 resistors are connected in parallel combination and their resistance is same. So what we will do to find the total resistance, we will divide the resistance of one resistor by the number of resistors. So one resistor value is 2x and number of resistors are 2. And so this 2 and this 2 will be cancelled. So again, we are getting the total resistance X ohm, and X is the resistance of one resistor only. So it means, student, by connecting the resistors in this combination, we are getting the same resistance, that is X ohm, which we were getting here in this circuit 1. Are you understanding this thing, students? Only when the one resistor was connected in the circuit 1, its resistance is X ohm. And now, students, we are connecting 4 resistors instead of 1. And the combination of 4 resistors are also giving us the resistance of X ohm. So it means that resistance will be same. All right. Now you can see ammeter and voltmeter readings are given. This is voltmeter, which will measure the potential difference across a combination of 2 resistors. And this is the ammeter. Now we have to, they are saying record in table 3.1, the voltmeter and ammeter readings shown in figure 3.4 for circuit 2. So now you can see, students, again, this is 2 volt and this one is 3 volt. So middle line is representing 2.5 volt and each small line is representing 0.4 volt. So it means, students, we are getting 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So here we are getting 2.3 volts. So we have to record the reading in the table. So let me record here, students. We are getting the reading of circuit 2, 2.3 volts. So if this reading is almost same. All right. Now you can see we have to find the current as well. Well done, Hafsa. So we are getting exactly the middle is exactly at the middle of 0.2 and 0.4. So we are getting 0.3 ampere here. So it means, a student, we have to write answer 0.3 ampere. 3 means 0.30 ampere. So I wrote the answer in two significant figures. So we have to write the answer in two significant figure as well. All right. So now we have written down the values of circuit 2. Now in the part 3, they are saying calculate and record in table 3.1 the resistance of each circuit. Give your answers to two significant figures. So it means we have to write the answer in two significant figure and we have to calculate the resistance R is equals to V upon I. So let me tell you one interesting thing, beta, that in ATP paper, you don't need to memorize any formula. As you can see, yesterday we solved question number 1 and 2, all formulas were given. Similarly, beta, you can see the Ohm's law is given, that is R is equals to V upon I. So we have to solve this calculation, beta, and we have to find the resistance of circuit 1 and resistance of circuit 2. All right. So now I'm solving for circuit 1, students. R is equals to V upon I. V is 2.4 and current is 0.32 ampere. Well done, Hafsa. We are getting, Hafsa is saying 7.5 ohm. And they told us that we have to write the answer in two significant figures. So you can see 7.5 ohm is representing the answer in two significant figure. All right, 7.5 ohm. Don't need to write the unit here because it is already mentioned in column heading. All right, well done, Inaya. Now, we have to solve for circuit 2 as well. We will use the same formula as it is given in the question. R is equals to V upon I. Voltage is given 2.3. Current is given 0.30 ampere. So after division, we are getting 7.7 ohm. Well done, students. Well done, everyone. So the next value we are getting here 7.7 ohm. Are you understanding this question, student? It's very easy. So for this calculation, you will get 3 marks, students. It's very easy. I hope you have noted down this calculation so I can clear the screen, right? All right. So now you can see, students, we will get 3 marks for this calculation. Now part 4 is very interesting. And this type of question can be asked in your exam paper, beta. In this question, they are saying, I'm repeating, beta, this type of questions are very important. All right. Theory suggests that the resistance of circuit 1 and circuit 2 are same. Obviously, theory is suggesting that the both resistance of these two circuits are same, as I have informed you with my previous calculation as well. Like when I solved this circuit with the theory of series combination resistance and parallel combination resistance, so we were getting the combined resistance of all four resistors, that is X ohm. So I told you that this circuit will give us the same resistance as we were getting the resistance in circuit 1. All right. So it means, student, the circuit 1 resistance was X ohm. So if I combine all four resistors, so again we are getting the X ohm. So it means all four combination resistor will give us a resistance of one resistor only. So theory is suggesting that the both resistor resistance is same. Now they are saying state whether the results support this suggestion. Justify your answer by reference to values from your result. So what statement should I write here, student? Your statement could be yes or no. Statement could be yes or no. Then we will write the justification. Exactly. So the theory is suggesting that the resistance of circuit 1 and 2 are same. So we have to write the answer yes. Yes, theory is correct. Both resistance of circuit 1 and circuit 2 is same. But now we have to justify our statement as well. All right, that how these two values are same. So students, let me tell you one thing. If two values in any experiment are same, so it means if their percentage uncertainty means that how much value can be deviated from its actual path. Uncertainty means the error involved in the reading. Like for example, the first circuit 1, resistance, I was getting 7.5 ohm. When I will repeat the experiment another time, so might be possible I will get the reading 7.55 ohm. Then I will repeat the experiment another time, so might be possible I will get the reading 7.6 ohm. So basically, why I'm getting the different types of reading every time when I'm connecting the same circuit, the reason is that every time there are several possibilities of error, like random error, systematic error. These error can deviate the reading from actual value. Like for example, gravity value is 9.8 Newton per kg. But when I'm performing the experiment, might be possible I will get the gravity value 9.79, or might be possible I will get the value 9.85, or might be possible I will get the value of gravity 9.19. So these are the possible. There are many errors while we are performing the experiment. There are many chances of random error. Random error can be parallax error, or a reading can be changed due to the change in temperature of the circuit. Like for example, if temperature of surrounding is suddenly changed, if the temperature of circuit is changing, so it can change the value of current in the circuit. So there can be the fluctuation in the reading. So these are the possible sources of random error, so which can deviate your answer from the actual value. So that is called uncertainty. Or there are the possible sources of systematic error as well. Systematic error means zero error. Zero error means, like for example, if I will turn on the voltmeter, so voltmeter needle, before turning on the voltmeter, if voltmeter needle is not properly aligned with the zero, so it means that there is zero error in the voltmeter or in the ammeter as well. So there could be the possible systematic error as well, which can deviate the value. That is called percentage uncertainty. But if the percentage uncertainty in the reading is less than 10%, so it means that your both values are correct. For example, if you are having one Lay's chips, all right, so if you have seen the backside description of the Lay's chips, if it is 50 gram, so there might be written that 50 gram plus minus 10 gram E. So this is showing the uncertainty in the reading. Like might be possible that this packet mass can be greater than 50 gram, so this reading can be deviate plus 10 grams, so it could become 60 gram as well, or it can become 40 gram as well. So it means the mass of this chips packet can lie between 40 gram to 60 gram. That is showing the uncertainty. And there are several reasons of uncertainty, as I told you, random error and systematic error. Are you understanding the concept of uncertainty, students? Like in your maths chapter, you people calculate upper bound and lower bound. So basically upper bound and lower bound, you are calculating the uncertainty in your data. All right. So obviously value can be uncertain because of the several sources of errors. So if the data is less than 10% uncertainty, 10% uncertainty acceptable in the experiment. So if the two values difference is less than 10%, so it means these two values are correct within the limit of experimental accuracy. But if the a percentage uncertainty is greater than 10%, so it means that these two values are not greater than not correct according to experimental accuracy. So now students, you can see the circuit 1 resistance was 7.5 ohm and circuit 2 resistance was 7.7 ohm. All right, so let me write the values here. Okay, so circuit 1 resistance was 7.5 ohm and circuit 2 resistance was 7.7 ohm. So how can we find the percentage uncertainty? I will use the formula of percentage uncertainty, students, and let me tell you, uncertainty concept is very important because the A-level first chapter is related to uncertainty. All right, it's very, very important. So percentage uncertainty we can find here by using the formula maximum value minus minimum value divided by maximum value multiply by 100. So this formula we will use to calculate percentage uncertainty. All right. So maximum value in this circuit is, in these two reading, is 7.7. Minimum value is 7.5. Well done, Hafsa. and then maximum value is 7.7 multiplied by 100. So when we will solve this, we will get 0.2 multiplied by 7.7 multiplied by 100. So we are getting the percentage uncertainty, that is 2.6%. All right, percentage uncertainty in these two reading is 2.6%. All right, and this 2.6% is less than 10%. Walaikum Assalam, Abdul Rafi. This 2.6% is less than 10%. It means that these two readings are correct according to limit of experimental accuracy. Are you understanding this thing, students? So we can write a statement here. We are solving Abdul Rafi Feb March 2026 paper 6 variant 2. All right, resistance of circuit 1 and circuit 2 are same within limit of experimental accuracy. So I hope you have understood this question, students. Is it clear to you, everyone? All right. Okay. I hope you have noted down this calculation. You have to show the whole calculation, then you have to write the justification here. All right. So now I'm going to clear the screen, students. We have completed this part 4. Oh, now there is one more circuit 3. All right, this is circuit 3, students. In circuit 3, they are saying figure 3.5 shows circuit 3. And now you can see there are 3 resistors connected in series in one branch. Then again 3 resistors connected in series in the second branch. And again 3 resistors are connected in series in the third branch. And together all these 3 branches are connected in parallel combination. And what they are saying, student, the interesting thing is circuit 3 contains 9 identical resistors of each resistance x ohm. 9 identical resistor means, yes, beta Abdul Rafi, I have replied you. All right. So it means, beta, 9 identical resistor means each resistor has resistance x ohm. X ohm means that each one has the same resistance. They are identical. Now they are saying predict the resistance of this combination of resistors. So obviously, student, according to the theory, if I will solve all these resistors, so again we will get the answer x ohm, like x will give us 3x. Again, x will give us 3x. X. So all together they are added to give 3x. Then these 3x resistors are connected in parallel combination. All right. So if I will find the total resistance of these 3 resistors, which are connected in parallel, so together R upon N, I will use the shortcut formula here. So 3x, or number of resistors are 3. All right, 3 means combined resistance of these 3 resistors is 3x. So I am considering this resistor as a single resistor. So this one and this one will be cancelled. So total resistance we are getting here is x ohm. So again, student, it means that the theory is suggesting that the resistance should be same. Resistance should be same, and combined resistance of all 9 resistors is equals to x ohm. Now we have to predict the resistance of this combination of resistor. So I hope you remember, student, that in circuit 1 we were getting the resistance 7.5 ohm. And in circuit 2, we were getting the resistance 7.7 ohm. So it means the student, there is only a gap of 0.2 ohm. So now I can predict that circuit 3 resistance can be 7.9 ohm. Like if I will add 0.2 ohm in 7.7, so I will get the resistance 7.9 ohm. Are you understanding this thing, student? Just we have to predict the resistance. So obviously resistance should be very close to these values, because according to this theory, the resistance is correct. But if the student is writing 7.5 ohm, so this answer will be also acceptable, because according to the theory, the resistance is equals to the resistance of one resistor only. So now, student, I am writing the answer here, 7.9 ohm. Is it clear to you, students? Excellent. All right. So now I'm going to clear the screen. I hope you have understood this question. Now in the next part B, they are saying another student performed the same experiment. Another student perform the same experiment by uses a digital meter. Okay, Hafsa, can you tell me why it should be 8 ohm? Why it should be 8 ohm? Because according to the theory, the combination of all these resistors is equals to resistance of a single resistor. So it could lie between the range of 7.5 to 7.7, or it could be 7.9 ohm as well, right? So now students, another student performed the same experiment but uses a digital ammeter. State one advantage of using a digital ammeter. Just we have to write the one advantage of using a digital ammeter. No, yes, exactly. More accurate reading. More accurate reading. Well done. Obviously, there are several chances of error in analog ammeter, like the parallax error. Needle can be tapped in if you are using the analog ammeter or analog voltmeter. All right. Or there is a possibility of zero error as well. So it means if we will use the digital ammeter, so reading will be more accurate. All right. Reading will be more accurate. Yes, beta Zurek, there are chances of human error as well. That is parallax error. We cannot write the human error, we can write the parallax error. So it means we can write here more accurate reading. All right, we will get more accurate reading. Is it clear to you, students? All right, now I'm moving towards the next question. In the next question, they are saying, next part, sorry. Figure 3.6 shows a digital ammeter displays when it is connected in a circuit. So you can see this is the digital ammeter and it is giving us the reading in milliampere. All right, it is giving us the reading in milliampere. The reading is 290 milliampere. Now they are saying record the value for the current shown in ampere. So we have to write the reading in ampere. So basically what we have to do, student, we have to convert the milliampere into ampere. So how we will convert the milliampere into ampere? So basically we are moving from a smaller value to the bigger value. So we will divide it by 1000. All right, we will divide it by 1000. So after dividing, we will get 0.29 ampere. Exactly. So you can see it's a very easy question, student. Just you have to simply divide it by 1000 and you will get 1 mark. 0.29 ampere is the reading in ampere. All right. Clear, students? Okay. Now the last part of this question number 3, part C, suggests 2 reasons why the switch is opened after readings are taken. After reading are taken, why the switch is open? Open means we have disconnected the battery from the switch, so we can save the battery. All right, we can save the battery, or the circuit cannot be short, or it will not get overheat. All right, students? Exactly, Hafsa. So now we can write the 2 suggestion here, that why the switch is open to prevent or to prevent the circuit to be short. All right, to prevent the circuit to be short, or we can write the second option to save the battery. All right, otherwise the battery will be drained out. Okay, to save the battery, we have to open the switch. Otherwise, the battery will get finished. Is it clear to you, students? Okay, so now we have completed the question number 3, students. Let's move towards the next question. Mostly the question number 4 is related to the planning question. Yes, it is a planning question. Look at the question number 4. In question number 4, they are saying a student investigates the rate of cooling of hot water in a container which has a lid. So what the student is doing, basically student is investigating the rate of cooling of hot water in a container which has a lid. Plan an experiment which enables the student to investigate the effect of different starting temperatures. So they have mentioned here that what we have to plan an experiment in which we have to investigate the effect of different starting temperature. Like initially we will take the greater temperature like 90 degrees Celsius. Then we will repeat the experiment with 80 degrees Celsius initial temperature. Then we will experiment with 70 degrees Celsius. So every time we have to take the different starting temperature on the rate of cooling. And we know that the student, when the temperature of hot water is higher, so the rate of cooling is greater. Or as the temperature is decreasing, so the rate of hot water cooling will also decrease. Right, student? So basically, what we have to investigate is experiment. We have to investigate the rate of cooling. Rate means time. All right, students, rate means time. Okay. So we have to investigate the rate of cooling of hot water. It means we have to study that relation between temperature and time. Are you understanding, students? We have to study the relation between temperature and time. These are the two variables here. Okay. Now, what they are saying, the apparatus available include, what are the apparatus, student? You can see a beaker, a measuring cylinder, a supply of hot water, a lid, and in your plan, they are saying state any additional apparatus required. So, first of all, student, we have to study what are the two variables. What are the two variables which we are going to investigate in this experiment? Can anybody tell me what are the two variables here? As I have marked already on your screen, rate of cooling of hot water. So basically hot water means temperature and rate of cooling means rate means time. Exactly. Temperature and time. So what are the two variables we are studying here? Temperature and time. देखिए बेटा, remember when we are studying the planning question, so we have to mention the dependent variable, independent variable, and control variable. As do you remember, student, I told you the mnemonics here. I don't care. All right, I don't care. So I stand for independent variable. So independent variable is time or temperature here. What is independent variable, students? Time or temperature? Independent variable is time here. All right, student, independent variable is time. Like we can study the relation between after 30 seconds, after 60 seconds. So independent variable is time. Don't means dependent variable. Dependent variable is temperature because temperature depend upon time here as you will increase the time gap, time duration. So temperature drop will also increase. And C here means constant variable which we have to keep constant while we are performing this experiment. All right, as you can see this part as well, state the key variables which you have to keep constant. So basically we are studying the relation between independent and dependent variables. So obviously we have to keep the certain variable constant. So can anybody tell me what are the certain variables which we have to keep constant? They are saying key variables, plural word, variables. So it means there must be multiple variables which we have to keep constant when we are performing this experiment. So what could be the variables? Well done, beta. Volume of water. Exactly. We have to keep volume of water constant. So first variable we can write here, volume of water. All right, I'm writing here. Well done, Inaya. The variable which we have to keep constant here, that is volume of water. All right. Well done, Alize. Room temperature. We have to keep the room temperature constant. Otherwise, the rate of cooling will be affected. All right. The next one is volume of water, room temperature, or beaker size. Because if the beaker size will be changed, so rate of evaporation will be also changed. Because rate of evaporation can be changed by the change in the size of the beaker. As the surface area of the beaker will increase, so the rate of evaporation can be also affected. So we can write down the beaker size as well. Is it clear to you, students? All right, so we have mentioned the control variable of constant variable here, which we have to keep constant. All right, now they are saying state any additional apparatus required to perform this experiment. So students, just think about it. What could be the additional apparatus? How we will measure the temperature here? How we will measure the temperature here, students? Which instrument should I use here to measure the temperature? I'm waiting for your response, students. Exactly, thermometer. All right, so what are the additional apparatus which we have to use while we are performing this experiment, student? So additional apparatus are thermometer. All right, and one more apparatus we have to consider here. How we will record the time, students? How we will record the time? Additional apparatus. All right, additional apparatus are thermometer. We will use the thermometer to record the temperature, and the next apparatus is stopwatch. Obviously, we will use the stopwatch to record the time. Is it clear to you, students? So we will take one cylinder, all right, and we will pour the supply of hot water in this cylinder or beaker. I think beaker is mentioned or cylinder is mentioned. Let me check, students, just give me. Yeah, beaker is mentioned. And first of all, yeah, measuring cylinder is also mentioned here. Measuring cylinder means we will measure the amount of water with measuring cylinder, volume of water. All right, like if you are using the 100 centimeter cube of water or 200 centimeter cube of hot water, then we will pour this hot water into this beaker. All right, and we will cover this container with the lid. So this is the lid, student. There is a hole at the center of the lid. This hole is used to insert the thermometer. A thermometer is placed inside this beaker, and this thermometer is passing through the lid. And one more thing, student, that thermometer should not touch the base of the container, because if the thermometer will touch the base, so it will record the temperature of container or beaker instead of water. And thermometer should be vertical. It should not touch the walls of the beaker as well. Are you understanding this thing, students? All right. So now what we will do, first we will record the initial temperature of hot water, and we will record this value in the table. Then after every 30 seconds or 60 seconds, we will record the change in temperature. All right. We will record the change in temperature after every 60 seconds. Now what we will do, we will repeat the experiment, same experiment for different initial temperature. Like for example, right now I'm taking the initial temperature of hot water, that is 90 degrees Celsius. That is the initial temperature. Now we will repeat the whole experiment with a different initial temperature of water like 80 degrees Celsius, then 70 degrees Celsius, and we will repeat the experiment with a similar manner that after every 30 seconds or 60 seconds, we will record the change in temperature. So are you understanding the experiment, student, what we have to do here? All right. So now, student, how we will write the answer? I have already mentioned the additional apparatus here. What are the additional apparatus? I'm writing again, students, on my screen. Just give me 1 minute. Additional apparatus. So additional apparatus are thermometer and stopwatch. All right. So how we will perform this experiment? So let me write the procedure here. First of all, take. First of all, we will measure volume of hot water with measuring cylinder. All right, we will measure volume of hot water with measuring cylinder, because every time when we are performing the experiment, we have to keep the volume of water constant. All right, we will measure the volume of hot water with measuring cylinder. Pour hot water, pour hot water into the beaker and cover it with lid and insert thermometer in it. And you can write here the precaution as well, that thermometer should not touch the side and base of the beaker. All right, students. Now what we will do, we will record the initial temperature of hot water with the help of thermometer. All right, students. And then what should be the fifth point, student? Fifth point is record the temperature after every 60 seconds. Record the temperature after every 60 seconds. Then we have to repeat the experiment by taking different initial temperatures. So we have to mention here, repeat the experiment by taking different initial temperature. All right. Are you understanding this procedure, students? Okay. In the last, we calculate rate of cooling of hot water. So this is the whole experiment beta which we have to perform, which they have asked. In this question, we have mentioned the additional operators. We have mentioned the independent variable, dependent variable, and control variable. As I told you, independent variable is, I'm writing here again, independent variable is time, dependent variable is temperature, all right, and the control or constant variable is volume of water, and what should be the next one, students? Control variable. What were the control variable, beta? Volume of water, and the next one is Hafsa. Exactly. We can write the size of beaker as well. Well done, Inaya. Size of beaker or room temperature. All right, these are the control variables. Okay, students. Acha, we have done with the experiment, control variable, dependent variable, independent variable, additional operators. I have mentioned each and everything. Now the next thing, student, we have to draw the table with column heading. All right, we have to draw the tables. So in table, what values we will take? I'm drawing the table here. Okay. So now student, what values we will take? Like this is the first column. Okay. Second column, third column, and fourth column. And this is the column heading. All right, students. So in the first column, what I will take? I will take the time here in the first column because we are repeating an experiment after every 60 seconds. I mentioned here time. Then temperature, all right. And the initial, we have to write the temperature here and we are starting with the initial temperature, like the initial temperature is theta 1. All right, theta 1 in degrees Celsius, because every time we are taking the different initial temperature and time we are taking in seconds, like 60, 120, 180, all right, and then 240, and then in the last 300. Okay. Then again, we have to write the second temperature again. And next time we have to perform the experiment with the several different initial temperature. So we have to mention the initial temperature, mention completely initial temperature. Initial temperature.